Hello everyone, this is Ariel Tayeb. In this video, I'm going to show you a game which was played by Mikhail Tal. In this game, he had white pieces and he played against the Sicilian. Now, I already created a video about Mikhail Tal and I showed one of his games when he played against the Sicilian Najdorf. So if you want to check it out, you can just look for the link in the description down below. This will be the link to the video which I created about Mikhail Tal against the Sicilian Najdorf. Without further ado, let's start with the game. In this game, Tal had white pieces and he started with e4. Black played c5, the Sicilian defense. Knight to f3, e6, d4, c takes on d4, knight takes on d4. This is the Khan variation. a6, and now bishop to d3. The most frequently played move here is most likely knight to c3. I mean, this is the move which we see the most. But in this game, he played bishop to d3, knight to e7, knight to c3, and knight from b to c6. He created this structure because he wanted to make sure if white takes on c6, black will be able to take with the knight and keep this pawn structure as it is. You don't want to change the pawn structure. But after knight b to c6, white played knight to b3, knight to g6, castle kingside b5, and now bishop to e3. White developed all of his pieces and is ready to start marching his pawns forward. Black played d6, f4, bishop to e7. Black wants to castle on the king side, and white played queen to h5. And black is no longer interested in castling because if black will castle, which wasn't played in the game, by the way, if black castled, then simply rook to f3 with the intention to swing across to the h3 square and create some problems. And there is no easy way to play against it. For example, if black plays a very natural move, then now simply rook to h3, threatening mate, and after h6, which seems to be the only way to defend it, white simply go ahead with f5 with the intention to sacrifice the bishop on h6, and black is in some serious problems. Because, for example, e takes f5, there is just e takes f5, the knight is under attack, and most likely bishop takes h6 will end the game. As you can see, there is threat to mate. White is threatening to play queen h7, queen h8, and also rook g3. Not to mention some ideas of f6 with bishop to h7, and also white has the d5 square available for his knight. I mean, black is completely lost. So castling kingside, it's somewhat risky because of this rook lift on the third rank. So black played bishop to f6. Tal continued rook from a to d1, and the black simply took the knight on c3, which for some degree may seems like a good move because you're forcing white to have a double pawns. But it's not such a good idea because look, first of all, black played with his bishop from f8. He played 1, 2, 3 moves. You see, 3 moves with his bishop, and he traded for a knight which moved only once. So black is certainly behind in development for sure because he just moved his bishop too many times. And second, I mean, white has this very powerful dark square bishop, and black don't have any piece to oppose him because there is no dark square bishop for black anymore. And although this pawn structure may seem like a bad pawn structure, at any time white can easily get rid of these double pawns by playing c4, and black cannot really prevent it. Because if black plays d5, which wasn't played in the game, by the way, but if black played d5, then simply e takes d5, and white always can get rid of this double pawns. I mean, if black is not going to play d5, white can always play c4. So the only way to prevent c4 is by playing d5. But now simply e takes d5, and no matter however black takes, is going to lose a pawn, because if e takes d5, white has at least bishop takes g6. No, the h pawn is pinned, sorry. And after f takes, then simply queen takes d5, and white is up a pawn right now. I mean, this is a double pawn here, yeah. But at any case, this is an extra pawn, so white shouldn't be any worse here. And he got also the dark squares under control. And if, for example, queen takes d5, well, the combination is about the same. No, actually, white is much better here because of this simple tactic. Bishop takes g6, discover attack on black's queen, and black cannot no, excuse me, this was by accident. I mean, if black trade queens, then white is simply going to be up a piece. And yeah, black is technically lost here. White is simply about to take on f7 and there is no stopping. Yeah, so, I mean, practically speaking, these double pawns are quite nice. White can always get rid of them with c4, but it doesn't need to. White has another things in mind like f5 in the picture. So black played queen to c7, tried to develop his queen, the light square bishop, trying to consolidate. White played rook to d2, knight from c to e7, knight to d4. White improved his knight and prepared for the last strike. Black played bishop to d7 and now f5, chasing the knight on g6. F takes, e takes f5, e takes f5, and black played knight to e5. Now I want you to pause this position. This is way to move, and I want you to find what Tal played. So I give you a couple of seconds if you want to pause the video or not. It's up to you. So I hope you found it. Tal played in this position. Well, just before I show you, please put a like to this video. This is very helpful for me and for growing this channel. I would really appreciate it. So in this position, Tal played knight to e6, attacking the queen on g7, the queen on c7, and attacking the pawn on g7. So this knight must to be captured. But after bishop takes e6, f takes e6, white is threatening to take on f7. So black played g6. A horrible mistake. The best move would probably be something like knight from 7 to g6, and then even after e takes f7, I takes f7, white is still clearly worse. Yeah, white can play few things. Most likely queen d5 would end the game because you're attacking. No, the knight here is already defended. White can play something like bishop takes g6, h takes g6 is forced. And I'm wondering, I never saw this before actually, this exact variation. Rook takes f7 seems to end the game right now. I know, but king can take back because, you know, we are threatening black's queen and also the rook, and king takes f7 defend both, but actually rook f2. I wonder, the king can never go to the 8th rank because the queen takes on the rook on h8 with check. So the king must stay on the 7th and the 6th rank. So if king goes to e6, then queen takes g6. I don't think black king can survive longer. Yeah, this is worth analyzing actually. I never saw this idea before. Check, the king tried to hide. Check. Let's see some maneuvering here. Check. It's very difficult to predict. I mean, white has at least a perpetual check with his queen. Maybe I'm missing something. So rook takes f7 may not be the rook takes f7 may not be the strongest, but I mean, even if just the queen goes to a random square such as d5, white is still clearly better because, you know, there is a weakness on d6. White is simply about to transfer one of his rooks to the h3 square. You know, the other rook can also swing across. I mean, black's position is extremely difficult. So let's go back. In this position, black played g6, and I want you to pause this video and find out how white won this position, won this game. So please pause the video and find it now. Okay, I hope you found it. Tal played a move and black resigned, and the move is queen takes on e5, and in this position, black simply resigned. I mean, there is nothing to continue this game for. Black is simply down a piece. White is about to take the rook on h8. So black is pretty much forced to capture the queen, but after that, white is simply taking on f7 with check, and black got 3 legal moves. All of them are completely losing. I mean, king f8 is just mating 1. King d8 is just bishop f5 check. Black cannot block with his queen, obviously. So knight d5 is forced, and now bishop to g5 check. Only legal move black has is just to block on e7 with his queen, and now simply rook takes d5 check, king to c7, and bishop takes c7. White is completely winning. You can count the pieces, of course. Black can simply resign. Um, and probably black's best bet would be to play king to d7, which is also completely losing, but it's the best try. I mean, there's bishop f5, double check. Only legal move is king to c6, and now bishop to e4 check. Only legal move is knight to d5. Bishop takes d5. Black king is forced to go to the d file. You see, this line is completely forced, so black cannot really decide whether or not you want to enter this line. So after king to d7, rook bishop takes on a8 with check. Wherever the king goes, the idea of white is simply to promote this pawn and then take back with the rook. So for example, if king to e6, you can promote, but it's better to start with bishop to d5. And of course, if king to d7, you simply promote to a queen, and you have two rooks and two bishops against the queen. Of course, black is completely losing. So probably black would try something like king to e7, but now simply bishop to g5 check, trying to lure away the king from the protection of the f8 square. So black is forced to play king to f8, and now simply bishop to h6 check, king to e7, and promoting the pawn to a queen check. Rook takes f8, bishop takes f8, and as you can see, two rooks and two bishops are way too much for one queen to handle, and black king is completely demoralized. So I hope you like this video. If you did, please put a like to this video and share it with your friends. I'm trying to grow this YouTube channel, so I would really appreciate if you do those things. Anyway, if you like me to show a specific game which was played by a specific player, or you want me to show you more puzzles and stuff like that, so comment down below exactly what you want me to show you. If it's Mikhail Tal's games, you simply comment down below Mikhail Tal. If it's Rashid Najmuddinov's game, comment Rashid Najmuddinov, and so on. So thank you a lot, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.